Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Rose. I'm coming to you live from my home in California. And it's thunderstorming here. So all of a sudden, it might sound like marbles were released over on top of the roof of my house. And it's been scaring me all day, too. So sorry in advance for that. But welcome to my Facebook page, and this is my first live series that I'm doing. I'm really excited about it. I'm glad that you're joining me. Some of you are here live, and some of you will probably watch this as a recording because I'll go ahead and upload it when I'm finished. So I'm glad you're here. So this is a series called Intuition Tips and Techniques, and it's a series of live chats that I'm going to do every evening this week, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock, right, Pacific Standard Time, right here on my Facebook page. And I'm doing this series to support the release of my online course, Awaken Your Natural Intuition with Lisa Rose. And just like a musician who creates an album and then goes out to support it, I'm on tour here on Facebook and on social media to help support my online course by sharing some of the content with you. So if you find that you love what you're learning here, you can sign up for the course and you can learn a whole lot more. But for now, let's just get started. So I want to begin by setting my timer. I have a good old-fashioned sand egg timer because those of you that know me know that I can talk all night about something that I love. And I love talking about intuition development. So I've got this set. I'm just going to put it down right here so I can keep my eye on it. And now I'll begin. Okay, so intuition, it's natural. So that's your first tip. Intuition is natural. You are already intuitive. Your intuition, it's like a GPS system that's already on board in your body, right? So you're born with it. And some people use it and some people don't use it. It's your choice, right? Whether or not you want to benefit from your intuitive guidance system or not, right? I'm a person who uses it all the time. I'm a sixth sensory. I've been using my intuition for a long time, and I love the benefits of being intuitive and working with my natural intuition. So yes, your intuition can be awakened. It can be trained. It can be refined, and you can use it to guide you in your life every day or even in your business. So your body is actually your intuitive instrument. It works like an instrument. And you have intuitive senses that are similar to your physical senses, but not exactly, right? They do more and they're more expansive. So when you awaken these intuitive senses and you trust your own guidance, and you act on it, right? That's the threesome, right? Tap into your intuitive senses, trust your guidance, and act on it. That's when things start happening, right? That's when the law of attraction actually comes into play and intersects with intuitive abilities. One of those isn't going to do it. You really have to do all three. So when you do that, you start to begin to live your life as a sixth sensory rather than someone who is operating on only 5 physical senses, and it is different. It's quite a different experience. So today's tip comes from video 4 of my online course called Awaken Your Natural Intuition with Lisa Rose. You'd find this in video 4. And it's get grounded. Get grounded. And the technique that I'm going to correspond with that for you today is a technique I call intuitive journaling. Actually, my term for it is journaling and soul ink, and we'll talk about that next. But let's talk about getting grounded. So why is it important for you to be grounded? Well, intuition works best when you are grounded. It doesn't work so good when you're not grounded. Remaining calm and peaceful, regardless of whatever the situation is around you. And that is a tall order, right? But when you do that, it strengthens your intuitive ability. And the reason that it does that is a state of calm. It allows your senses to monitor what's coming before it arrives, right? So the intuition, it comes and you get a vibration about that before it even arrives. And that allows you to get yourself together and give yourself some time to act, right? So that only happens when you are grounded. Evidence that you are not grounded includes things like anxiety, or you feel stress, or there's a restlessness about you, right? These would be symptoms, let's say, of not being grounded. Another is when you begin to exaggerate your problems, right? That would be another a symptom that you're ungrounded. You might be creating lots of drama, or you might get sucked into a whole lot of drama. That would also cause you to be ungrounded. You might feel like you're just moving around in circles in your life. It's like the hamster on the wheel. Things aren't really changing for you, even though you're working hard. You might be repeating yourself for absolutely no reason. I kind of call that polishing. You keep polishing something and polishing something and polishing something before you either do it, act on it, release it. I've done that myself. Even with certain things, I'll keep polishing them and polishing them and polishing them because I might be feel stressed or anxious about it. So that gives me the clue that I'm ungrounded. Maybe you have the inability to concentrate, or you might be expending energy that accomplishes very little. That would be a clue also that you're being in a state of ungroundedness, or that you're currently ungrounded. So, have you ever had an experience where you're letting everyone know how irritated and frustrated you are without actually doing anything about it, right? You're just sort of dispersing your frustration rather than pulling it in, focusing on it, clearing it, and moving forward. So that would be also a clue that you're ungrounded. Now, being unfocused and not getting sort of much done, but you're exhausted. I think almost everyone has felt that at some time or another. So that would be also a clue that you're ungrounded. So I like to use metaphors, and I'm thinking of ungroundedness as the difference between being focused when you're playing a game, for example, like shooting marbles, right? So when you're grounded, you're focused on shooting the marble. When you're ungrounded, you're simply dispersing and spreading and throwing all the marbles around. Everything's going every which way and everywhere, and not much is actually getting accomplished, and you're not moving forward in your game or in the game of life. So those would be examples of being ungrounded. And ways to ground yourself. You can physically ground yourself. For example, walking or running, biking, hiking, swimming, pulling weeds, right? That's physical activity. Where you expend a lot of effort, like skiing and things like that, or you engage in sports. So physical activity interrupts patterns, and it expels a lot of the negative energy that you might be feeling or have collected around you, and it releases it from your aura. So those of you who are watching, I'm just going to take a breath here for a minute, and I would love to know, what are some of your physical activities that you love to do? Just go ahead and write them in the comments for me. Even if you're watching the recorded version of this, I would love to know that, because the physical activities that you love are things that you can incorporate into your life to help you be able to develop your intuitive abilities. So what are yours? So I want to talk for a second about the way that trying to ground yourself dispels negative energy. I want to just, as a sidebar, tell you that, negative energy, it's not evil. It's a type of energy that does not serve you. That's what it is, right? So we tend to think, oh, negative, it's evil and bad, and, positive, it's the opposite of that, all right? So what it really is, it's negative energy is the type of energy that's not in service to you. It's not serving you. And positive energy is the opposite. It's what is serving you and serving you to your highest and best good. Right? So that's what we mean when we're talking about positive and negative energy. So when you release negative energy, right, your head will clear and you'll be able to hear your inner voice, right? And the inner voice is the voice of your intuition. So ways to ground yourself. There's other ways to ground yourself that do not require physical activity, right? So these would be ways to ground yourself with quiet activities, let's say. Organizing books on a shelf or rearranging your CDs. This is double duty. This actually works to ground you and also gets one of those chores done too. And chores, doing chores quietly, it's like that quiet work, almost that quiet domestic work. I call it domo days for domesticity days or domestic days, where I'm organizing or doing the laundry or cutting vegetables or whatever it might be, right? So that counts a lot. And you could also do things like yoga or Tai Chi, paint, draw, sewing or hand embroidering, writing. Writing's a good one, and we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. You can also look at the landscape. Looking out at nature, is a wonderful way to ground yourself, as well as giving yourself an eye full of beauty. And watching the clouds go by. Sometimes I lay in my hammock and I watch the clouds go by when I know that I need to ground myself. So that's a quiet way to do it that isn't physical. You can lay on the ground. You can just lay on the beach and listen to the waves. Sometimes when I'm in Hawaii, I just lay on the lava. I lay right on the lava field, and I can feel myself releasing into the earth and grounding myself. And so that's one of the ways that I do it. Now, one of the best ways, if you've ever followed me on any of my other events or on any of my media postings, you know that I'm a big fan of meditation. And meditating is really the best tool that you can have in your intuitive development toolkit, because it quiets all that energy down, separates the thinking mind from the essence of who you are, and it's in that space, in that place, in that state of being that you can hear your voice, your inner voice, which is quiet. And you can also recognize and connect with your intuition, which is subtle. Right? So maybe make a note to yourself if you don't already meditate. And I'm wondering how many of you out there meditate. Do you meditate? Pop into your comments if you're meditating and if you know how to meditate. And if you're not, let me know if you'd like to learn how to meditate, and I can make that one of these live events at some point. Just pop it in the comments down there with me. So it's in these quiet moments, in these physical moments, of grounding, that you release and you also remove some blocks. And you'll find that you will automatically download from your intuition answers to some questions that you might have been thinking about, maybe even questions that you forgot about. And all of a sudden, you'll be doing something that feels mindless, but it actually is purposeful in this exercise of intuitive practice. And you may suddenly, have a great idea. Or you may suddenly have a solution that just pops right into your head. And it can be a solution to something that maybe you intentionally wanted to work on with your intuitive practice. Or it could be something that you've really been thinking about and you've been mulling over, and you're not really quite sure about the whole question yourself yet, but you're tuned in to your intuition in these moments of grounding. And suddenly the answer to that, which you were trying to think about or formulate, comes right to you. It's an aha moment, right? Who comes up with that? Oprah Winfrey, right? She's always like, what's the aha moment? And that often happens when you are grounding or you are grounded. So intuition becomes activated during grounding. So that's your tip for today on intuition development, to get grounded, ground yourself, and let your intuition become activated during grounding. So if you're feeling like your intuition isn't really kicking in, you might be ungrounded. That's the whole point of this series today and this topic. So practice grounding yourself first, and then go ahead and you can do your intuitive work. Or you may find as you're grounding yourself, your intuition just kicks right in and starts generating information and guidance to you. So a simple technique to use to ground and to tap into your intuition, right? It's like the double whammy, right? So you can ground yourself with this exercise and tap into your natural intuition is writing. You know, I still absolutely love the feel of ink on paper. So for me, it's not a chore. The writing could also come, if you're a typist, it can come in the form of doodling. It can come with Post-it notes where you're just sort of randomly writing. But what I want to talk about is a very specific technique that I use called, I call it, intuitive writing. I do a lot of work in this realm and take it into the realm of journaling and soul ink. So here's how you do it. I'm going to share with you how you do it. I'm going to grab another piece of paper here because I like to read from my notes so I don't talk till midnight. Okay. Journaling and soul ink or intuitive writing. So what you would do is you would begin by just simply taking 3 breaths in, right? Have a notebook, piece of paper and a pen. I like to use an actual journal because I like to keep track of my intuitive hits or my intuitive guidance, right? So I use an actual journal and I write away in it, and I've got years of these, right? Because when I was first learning to tap into my intuition and I wanted to create an intuitive language of signs and symbols, I wanted to keep track of it. So that was the way that I chose to do it. And it works great. So have that ready first. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do it first thing when you wake up in the morning because your head isn't already filled with all kinds of things. I found that if you do it at the end of the day, sometimes it becomes like the bitch column, right? Where you're going to bitch about all the stuff that happened to you that day that you didn't like. Maybe not quite do that. So when you first wake up in the morning or after you've had some sort of a routine or you have a moment of quiet sometime during the day, grab that journal and sit with it for a moment and then take 3 breaths in. And without thinking, this is the tricky part, without thinking, you begin to write. And you just write whatever comes into your head. It can be anything. I hear the dog barking next door. I hear the mailman delivering the mail out front. My sink is dripping in the kitchen. I can smell bacon cooking across the way. I'm thinking of the color fuchsia and I don't know why. I need to call my sister. Whatever it might be, right? So you're basically emptying your head, just emptying it of everything that is in your head. And you'll feel yourself get to a natural stopping point. It'll just be natural, where you'll almost think that you need to find something else to write about in order to continue. You went over the edge when you get to that point. What you want to do is come to the natural stopping place, draw a line across your page, wait, and take a few breaths in again. And then you want to ask yourself a question. This is the question that I would suggest that you begin with. What guidance do you have for me today? And then wait and pick up your pen and start writing as soon as you are prompted by whatever it is that drops into your head. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to understand it rationally. Don't ask yourself if it's logical. Don't even ask yourself if it makes sense. It might not make sense. Oftentimes our intuitive hits don't make sense. And when you follow them, they suddenly make sense. So just get it all down in any way that you can, with writing, with drawing signs or symbols or drawing images, doodling, however it is that you can get what it is that you're receiving down. Now, these might be They might be words. They might be feelings that you're feeling in your body. So just jot that down, that what you're feeling in your body. Just jot it right down. And you can reflect on that later, what those sensations might be. Stabbing pains in your stomach, chicken skin. You might suddenly have a headache. You might feel good. You might feel elated and joyful. Whatever it might be. You might be smelling things that aren't present. You might be hearing things that aren't present. Right? You might be having images dropping into your third eye, and they're delivered almost like a daydream, or like a thought. But you're not making it up, right? It's just happening, and you're recording it. And you continue to do that until there's a natural pause, and then it's over, right? So what's happening is everything above the line is your ego trying to get its time, its space, time and space on your page there. And everything below the line is your intuition communicating to you. All right, so that's the technique. That's a technique that I use to have a quick overview. And I'm going to read to you something from my journal. But I'm wondering how many of you that are here with me, how many of you write? Are you writers? Do you still do writing? Because writing is a great form of grounding, and it's also a great way to tap into your intuition, and also a great way to understand better your intuitive senses and to create signs and symbols with it. So those of you that are watching, go ahead and fill in the comments there. Let me know. Are you writing? Are you writers? Are you writing? Have you ever written in a journal or anything like that before? Eventually, after you've been writing for a while, if you've been doing this form of intuitive journaling, oftentimes what happens, hey Jody, hi. Jody says she sometimes writes, but not in a journal, and she thinks she's going to start a journal. Oh, you'll love it. Then it's all in one place, right? It's all in one place. So I've got, as I said earlier, so many of these, that I've written in and kept track of. Eventually, when you start writing, you'll be able to just open up that journal and say, okay, I'm here, I'm listening. What guidance do you have for me today? And this is an entry that I have in my journal from May of 2015. So it's coming up on 2 years ago. And I cracked it open. I always write the date. I always write where I am. In this case, I was in Hawaii. And I said, what guidance do you have for me today? And instantly, what came out was changes and challenges. Movement in the field. There's movement in the field, meaning the energetic field. Things are coming to a head and a quick end. Old habits are illuminated as habit, changeable. Hanging on is detrimental as the changing energy builds behind you, and it will sweep you suddenly away. Release that fear that causes you to hold on to whatever it is you're trying to hang on to, and release the old habit in doing so. Habit is automatic. When you become conscious of it, your awareness will give you pause so you may observe yourself. And then you either make a change or consciously stay the course and become stuck. And that was it. That was the end of the writing. Now, I'm not sure I could make that one up if I wanted to. As I was writing, it just flowed. It felt like I was channeling something. And what I was channeling was my intuition. So try this. Try this for yourself and see how that works for you. So get grounded is the tip, and the technique is intuitive journaling. And I hope that you'll try that. I thought that I would share with you what else I'm going to be sharing with you, because I'm doing this every day this week at 6 o'clock California time PST. Intuition tips and techniques. This is a live Facebook chat series right here on my public Facebook page. I hope you'll join me for some more. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about your intuitive body. Your body is your intuitive instrument, and so I'll be talking about that. Let me know if you have any questions. Pop them in the comments now, and I'll see if I can help you. Okay, sounds like you got a handle on this one. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, April. Hello, Jody. And hello, everybody else that's going to be watching. I'm going to upload this, so if you need to see it again, it's here for you. Okay? Wishing you a good evening. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah! Love from California.